Senate Oversight Committee, Patty. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, I wanted to start by showing you, this is a book. I actually printed these affidavits last night. These are affidavits from Republican poll watchers or poll challengers that witnessed incredible events at the TCF Center. Mostly they're all from the TCF Center. So I want to thank you for having me. I've been a poll challenger for 9 years. So I wasn't new to poll challenging when I worked at the TCF Center. I originally applied to be a worker as an election inspector for the Wayne County elections. And the night before I was supposed to work there, I was told, I received an email saying basically that I was an alternate, that I would end up in an overflow room. So I opted to be a poll challenger. When I got there, I began working on the duplicate ballot process, where one poll worker would hold the ballot that they needed to duplicate, and the other would have a blank ballot, and they would duplicate it. And then there was a witness that would stand behind them. And I knew the procedure at every table because, like I said, I had been trained to be an election worker, so I knew what was going on. We were never told that the person that was inspecting the ballot, their job was to stand in front of the Republican poll challenger, but consistently, that's what we saw. Whenever we would try to watch the process, the person that was inspecting the ballot would stand in front of us, and if we tried to move to the side, one of the agitators that were at the TCF Center, and there were lots of agitators that were there working on behalf, in my opinion, of the Democrat Party. They would challenge us and tell us to stand back, that we were too close, that we were going to kill people with COVID. So that's what we encountered, and we were not allowed to get up close to the ballots. It just was prohibited, wasn't allowed. At one point, when the military ballots came in, we were told to take a break, that it was a good time to take a break. I'd been there for 6 hours. I worked for a total of 13 hours that day, and the only time I sat down because Republican poll workers had to go upstairs to another room to get lunch or to sit on a chair. Democrats and the agitators all had a corner where food was brought into them. They were served food. They didn't have to leave. When it was time to go to lunch, we had to leave because we didn't have food provided. We had to go to another room. When we got back, the doors were locked. I was able to get back into the room, but I witnessed pizza boxes being placed over the windows so that the poll challengers couldn't see in. And those were being placed over the windows by election workers and by the agitators that were down there. Jocelyn Benson was on the radio with Frank Beckman, where she talked about the poll challengers outside that were locked out, and she told him that the police had to cover the windows. There were no police that were even anywhere near where the windows were being covered because the windows were being broken by the poll challengers. I don't know why she felt it necessary to completely make up a story about what happened. She wasn't there, she didn't see it.
Dumb phone, sorry.
I real briefly just wanted to mention about the military ballots. When it was time to count the military ballots.
I need you to wrap up.
Pardon?
I'll give you 15 more seconds
Okay.
to wrap up.
Not one of the military ballots was a registered voter. And the ballots looked like they were all exactly the same Xerox copies of the ballot. They were all for Biden across the board. There wasn't a single Trump vote, and none of the voters were registered. They had to manually enter the names and addresses and a birth date of 1/1/2020, which would override the system and allow them to enter non-registered voters, of which I saw several that day. Throughout the day, that's how they would override voters that were neither in the electronic poll book or the supplemental updated poll book.
Thank you. Any members have a question?
Were those being cast then as provisional ballots, or were they actually
No.
being tabulated?
No, and when we would try to challenge them, they would tell us no.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll try and put this on airplane mode so I have less time. Next we have R. Weber, followed by Jeff Stearns,